Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I do have cinnamon in my coffee this morning. In this first thing, I wanted to give a shout out to Alex Cobb. He uncovered this, and I wanted to let you all know, if you don't already, his website. Alex Cobb has a YouTube channel. He's one of the guys that inspired me to do my YouTube channel, and he does a live stream every day. I think it's at 1:30 Eastern time. But he also started a website that he calls it's thexrpdaily.com if you want to go check it out. Well, he uncovered some interesting news that he posted in this article here. This is Ripple Partner states that you can access nearly 30 banks through xRapid. xRapid equals XRP. And he's talking about this event, the IMTC EMEA 2019 event. This is an event that was going on, and they were giving out awards. In the event, there's something called a Ramtech Award, and different companies get. So anyway, the Coins.ph, I guess, received this award. And he mentions Coins.ph is one of Ripple's xRapid partners, based in the Philippines, providing XRP PHP liquidity. And their presentation video was just released 23 hours ago. All right, so in this clip, and he goes on to say down here, here's a quote: companies partnering with Coins.ph through xRapid gain access to nearly 30 banks. So they confirmed you can access 30 banks on xRapid. These banks have to be connected to xRapid. Folks, this is huge. Also consider Marjan Delatin stated about a month ago that they have over 20 financial institutions using xRapid. So that's a big deal that Alex uncovered. So if you haven't checked it out, go check out his website. It's the XRP Daily. And of course, you can go to Alex Cobb, and that's his YouTube channel, and give him a subscribe. Next, I thought this was an interesting tweet from XRapid at XRapid. Looking at the data for the past 19 quarters, 4 years, ranking the quarters years based on number of XRP added that time frame and percentage change in price and correlation between the two. There seems to be no meaningful correlation. Quarterly 18% and yearly minus 11%. And he's got the numbers pulled up here. And if you look here, here's some more specific numbers. But then he goes down and he says, in fact, I don't think there's more than this. It says, in fact, top 3 quarters with the most XRP additions to circulating supply ever have all had positive percentage changes in price, with the top 2 quarters having triple-digit percentage return. So the numbers bear out something much different than a lot of the rumor type things that people try to float, and that's an interesting little lesson there. All right. And this was interesting. Yesterday I showed you this, and we talked about how the Ripple's global head of government relations, Michelle Bond, had spoke on this, was interviewed. I can't remember this lady's name. I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, they were talking about regulations globally, and this is the head of Ripple's global regulations, Michelle Bond. But then Bank XRP came in and said something that I agree with and that I find very interesting too. Did anyone think it was a bit odd that there was no announcement that this live stream was even going to happen? Maybe it's just me. Seemed a bit out of the blue. And then in backup, Brad Combs at Backup Bradley comes in and he says, yes, I agree, Bank XRP, and I believe it's a huge bullish signal that regs with clarity we need are coming soon. The US didn't miss the internet thing, and they ain't missing the crypto blockchain revolution. That will be bigger than the industrial revolution, in my opinion. And I think that Brad Combs is exactly right. And by the way, if you don't watch his live stream, he does a really good live stream in the morning, and he does one at night. Go to YouTube and you can subscribe to him. But I think they're making very valid points there. When things don't make sense, you need to think a little deeper usually. And then I thought XRP researcher did a good tweet here. At XRP news _ breaking news. Now, we talked about some of this breaking news. Ripple concern. This is from that same live stream that I was just talking about. We talked about how she said Ripple confirms regulatory engagement with 50 governments plus full video. This part's the part I don't think I mentioned yesterday or today. She said that leaders in regulations around the world seem to be the UK Financial Conduct Authority, Asia Pacific, Switzerland, and Abu Dhabi. I think I said that right, Abu Dhabi. One of my friends criticized me the other day for saying it the wrong way. So, sorry, buddy, but I say a lot of things the wrong way sometimes. I go over a lot of different things, having a lot of different topics that are a lot of worldwide topics. So you'll have to forgive me occasionally. I'm from the Southeast United States, and I'm not always going to say things exactly right when I'm right in the midst of explaining something. It happens. But I want to give a shout out to the friend that gave me the hard time about it. I thought it was kind of a language snobby thing or he was kind of being an intellectual snob to me about it. So you know who you are. XRP Crow at Status. Ripple is probably the largest investor. I missed this from Brad Garlinghouse. Ripple is probably the largest investor in blockchain and crypto on the planet. And Brad Garlinghouse said that. I'm assuming he said that in his Yahoo Finance interview. We're probably the largest investor in blockchain and crypto on the planet. We've publicly announced we've made about $500 million of investments in the space over the last 18 months. I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting. Now, this is great. Michael at VAL5 links. Well, looky here. Banks, not Bitcoin or Bitcom, however you like to say it. Banks, not Bitcoin. Wells Fargo employee nabbed in $14 million money laundering scheme. See, we've been told for the last 10 years that we're part of a Ponzi scheme and we're all a bunch of money laundering criminals, right? So, but what is actually found, and of course, none of these Wells Fargo people will go to jail, but we just get to read the articles. And then Chinu Patel at Chinu Patel 29, I think this is a bigger deal than people are letting on right here. Well, maybe it's a big deal and everybody knows it. Malaysia has filed criminal charges against 17 Goldman Sachs directors over this $1 million bond deal. Here's what to know about the biggest heist in modern history is what they're calling it. The biggest heist in modern history. And it was Goldman Sachs. It was not Bitcoin. Then this guy comes in, Charles Gasparino. I think he's from Fox Business. He says, something Goldman Sachs shareholders need to watch. According to my sources with contacts inside the bank, whisper number in terms of fines, penalties, civil litigation is a financial hit equivalent to a year's worth of earnings when all is said and done, Goldman Sachs. Ooh, that sounds like a signal that there will be some people shorting that stock quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if that stock is down significantly today. But again, none of these 17 people will go to jail because Goldman Sachs people don't go to jail, right? Nobody went to jail from the financial crisis from Goldman Sachs. Nobody went from any Wall Street. I think Bernie Madoff might be the only person that I know from Wall Street that's gone to jail in, the last century? But anyway, here's the thing that's important, folks. In my experience, financial crimes like this tend to start popping up more and more as you get closer to a financial crisis or while you're in a financial crisis. I believe we are about to hit the worst financial crisis in the history of the world. And I believe that, as I've said from day one of this channel, I believe that right there in conjunction with that, digital assets are going to come on stronger than they've ever come on. And you and I are going to benefit greatly from it. And I will show you a little more about that here in a sec. First, this was from Chinu Patel as well. This week marks a huge increase of Bitstamp Bitso traffic top panel. driven by destination tag this. And this is a little chart, potential xRapid flow destination tag. It says MoneyGram and Ripple partnership was on right here. And then we started executing trades right here. And look at this. So interesting. This will be really fun to watch over the coming days and years. And then Darren Palatina at Darren Palatina sent me this. SEC's Hester Pierce promises regulatory clarity, says SEC doesn't want crypto businesses like Circle moving offshore. Now this is an interesting thing to hear right after what we said earlier about how Bank XRP and backup Brad Combs both said that they thought it was they didn't think it was a coincidence that live stream came out of nowhere and they didn't announce it. And then from XRP Dave at the Davey 92. This is first UK contraction since wake of crisis raises Brexit stakes. Britain succumbed to its first economic contraction since the aftermath of the financial crisis, raising the stakes for Boris Johnson's government as it seeks an imminent exit from the European Union. The unexpected 0.2% decline in gross domestic product during the second quarter, the worst performance since 2012, provides a foretaste of the potential damage to growth that most economists are warning of. All right, and then you have this from Zero Hedge. Blame, perhaps we are finally approaching the end of 12 years of economic insanity. Here. This is something I've been shouting at my television about since the financial crisis, and that is all of these politicians and central banks, they look at all of this from a short-term perspective. How can we save all of our friends and the economy from any short-term pain, even if it's in the long-term worst interest? In other words, it would be kind of like in my house, spoiling my child and saying every time my child asks me for anything, saying, "Oh, here it is. Yeah, you want a new toy? Here you go. You want a piece of candy? Here you go. Let's go get you some." Every single time he asks, and spoil the kid instead of saying, "No, you don't get candy every time you ask for it. No, you don't get that toy every time you ask for it, because I'm not going to spoil you and make you think that you can have everything that you want. Sometimes you don't get what you want." Well, I'm a little more responsible in raising children than the governments of the world are in taking care of an economy, and that's a sad state of affairs that it's that way. I plan to raise productive children. These governments of the world, they want to build up a disaster of an economy and build up a population that expects them to always do everything for them, and that has created a disaster, and we are on the verge of it. And they say it right here, what I just said. It's incredible. Investors in ultra long bonds are crowing about such short-term returns, but that's the world. Short-term is everything, while we neglect long-term. Short-term is everything to these central banks. Short-term, they don't have, these politicians and central bankers don't have the guts to do what's right for the world financially in the long term. All they're about is all the politicians want to get reelected and all of that. And that's why we're in the mess we're in, and that's why digital assets are the place to be, because these people they've put us in a position of ridiculousness. And I'm going to show you where this ridiculousness leads. At X Lighting the Way sent me this. I talked about it a little yesterday from Anthony Pompliano. A Danish bank is now willing to pay you 0.5% to take a mortgage from them. Yes, you read that right. The banks are getting desperate as we near the end of one of the greatest bull markets ever. Proceed with caution, my friends. And then Rhythm Trader comes in and says, they're paying you to not buy a house with cash. Seems very sustainable. It is a complete joke. And that is the reason digital assets are here to save us all, because this is a joke. And if you are invested in something that is tied to this joke of an economy that the world has built up, then you deserve what you get if that's where most of your investments lie. I myself am in XRP, the greatest digital asset ever created. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that you can now get a mortgage where they pay you to take out the mortgage. Thank you for listening.